anybody else, I get down sometimes and I get into a rut. And that can mean a couple of different things. It can mean that you're not doing anything creatively anymore. It could mean that socially you feel disconnected from people. There's a whole bunch of manifestations of what it is to be in a rut. But needless to say, it's not great. It feels horrible for all of us. And I want to talk about how I get out of that. And I was in a bad rut recently, and I think I had some good reflections on it. So first, I think what's worth discussing is why we end up there in the first place. I think that's very much connected to the solution, why the solution to it is so potent. So in my opinion and in my experience, ruts occur when we are so repeatedly doing something that stresses us in our lives that it narrows our perspective, and we are only able to see now that one thing that is causing us so much pain. And because all of our attention is drawn to that, it creates a rut. We're not able to do anything that we would usually aspire to do because all our energy is given over to it. And not only that, because it narrows our perspective, not only do we not have time for the things that we'd like to do creatively or socially, we begin to no longer be able to conceive of how we would. We, in a sense, lose our imagination for the things that we enjoy. And I think that this is actually related to first principles, this idea of entropy. And that's a great way to address this without guilt. What I mean to say there is that a lot of people, when they get into a rut like this, they feel like there's something fundamentally wrong with them, and they get in a feedback loop where they feel like they can't create anything, they feel like they can't connect with people socially, and that makes them feel bad about themselves. And now because they feel bad about themselves, they feel even less capable of connecting with people socially or doing something creatively. Negative, cyclical feedback loop caused by entropy. But if you understand that it is entropy, it's a first principle, it's a natural source, I think it is the first step to distance yourself from feeling like you're guilty or that there's something fundamentally wrong with you or that you're screwing up. You can look at it and say, this is natural, this happens to everybody, and it will happen again because entropy is this continuous state. Now that we have that mindset and we appreciate it as something that will repeatedly happen and it's no more unusual than rain or the sun. Once we understand that, and we understand that the symptoms are that we're upset, but if you diagnose it at its core, it's because our perspective has narrowed down, well, the solution becomes kind of obvious at that point, and it's that our perspective needs broadening. And I talk about this in a way, I say that like human beings, I think, are fundamentally connected to feeling fulfilled when there is a kind of sense of awe, wonder, or magic in the world. And I'll clarify what I mean when I say that. I don't mean it as some like metaphysical concept that it defies being put into words. I actually think it can be. And what I mean to say there is that awe, sense of magic, wonder in the world is usually what that directly is our ability to see that things could exist beyond our current perspective or sense of knowledge. And what usually happens in a rut is our cynicism grows. We view all that we can see is that the world behaves in one way, and the way that it behaves and the way that we understand the whole thing is that it's shitty. And so you no longer believe that there's anything else that you can discover. There's anything else that you could know, and not only have you learned and found out and experienced everything, but it's shitty. And so no wonder we lose our sense of imagination, our ability to connect, our ability to create. It's because we can no longer conceive of doing so, because once you know everything, what else is there to learn? So I think it's a time-honored tradition that we tell people, say for example, when they get out of a relationship and they're down because of that, they're in a rut because of that they should keep themselves busy. Now, that's true. I think that's something that is worth doing because it at first takes your mind off the thing. It takes you off of like just seeing this one way of looking at things, which is in a really negative way. But it's not just that it takes your mind off things, it achieves what I've now just spoken about, and that you now have the opportunity to expose yourself to things again, which will make you realize that you haven't figured it all out. And not only have you not figured it all out, but these things that you don't yet know could be really, really, really amazing. So my example for me recently that I had was I went and saw that movie 1917, and I had some inertia. Like, I was feeling so down, but I thought, and when you get down like that, when you're depressed, right, you get the depression kitty, and it lies on you and it doesn't let you go outside and insists that you drink melted ice cream. But I pushed off depression kitty and I went out the door, and I went and I watched this movie, cinematography done by Roger Deakins. I didn't see it advertised that much, but the point is that it was absolutely incredible, and it had achieved this for me. When I watched that, I thought, wow, I didn't know that movies could be made like this. I didn't know that the sort of cinematography achievements could still be made in this way. There is so much that I don't know, and so much of what I still don't know is incredible. I think that feeling of not knowing and being certain that it's not only things that are awesome that you could still know, but it's not just one thing. When so many elements impressed me in that experience, it reminded me that there's this sense of wonder and sense of discovery that I could get from so many different things. And then I read a book, and this book, where I've read this book before, this style of book, this genre of book before, I was exposed to an idea in that book that you see a lot of themes and ideas repeated often in books and stories, but it was a completely original idea. And once again, it was asserted to me that I don't know anything, and the things that I don't know are incredible, and that fills you with a sense of awe. So it's not some high, as I say, like lofty idea that defies description. It's actually a very reasonable concept, and we have it in a sort of base truism, a sort of base wisdom that we share with each other, where we say go out and experience things. But the clarity that I had from it was, it's not only that we go out and that we experience things, it's that we're reminded that what we don't yet know is amazing and positive. And when you get exposed to something like that, of course, it can spark an idea in yourself, not only just from a point of, oh, now I feel a sense of being uplifted, and you want to do things because you're happier, but you can also, because you can see other people imagining incredible things beyond what is already known, that you could do the same. So go out and get busy and occupy yourself, but more than just occupy yourself, try and discover that truth again, that what you had assumed you knew about the entirety of existence is always waiting to be reformed into something so much vaster than you ever could have imagined before. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was one that was on my mind. I really wanted to get it out there because it's cyclical, right? Like I said at the start, this is something that you know you will return to again as a course of the nature of existence. So if we have these skills that lift us up each and every time, also that when we face them, we don't further the problem by imagining that there is something wrong with ourselves when we arrive to it, we'll weather the storm. We'll weather the storm that much better than we ever have, and it can then be extended to others around us. Like, the very definition of a rut is that you're in a car and that you've slammed on the accelerator in some muddy zone, damn you crows, and it's dug in. And what you're doing is that, as opposed to looking elsewhere for solutions, you're zeroing in on the problem, and you're just digging in deeper and deeper and deeper. So let's not do that as much as we can, because it's amazing how much farther down rock bottom can always go. Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you dropping by. If you hit that like button, that's awesome. If you want to hit the bell notification, that will, of course, let you know when videos are uploaded to the channel, and you can check them out as soon as they come out. If you would consider supporting me on Patreon, I appreciate that a great deal. Means a lot to me, means the world to me. But for now, the clock has run out, and I will catch you in the next video.